Welcome to the Murali End. My name's Mark Machado. Sorry we're a little bit late. I'm joined by my cousin, the professor of cricketology, Dominic Machado, and I fear his academic levels of cricket and analytics have been stretched to the max today in a week where absolutely nothing's happened with Sri Lanka cricket with the ball or bat, but a lot's happened in the back office. This is the Murali End. We talk about Sri Lankan cricket almost all day, all night. Give us a follow, give us a subscribe. Tell us why you're watching, where you're watching from in the comments section, and of course, once we've got through some of the big headlines from the week, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to come and join us backstage and get your thoughts across as well. I'll put links into the comment section, so keep an eye out for that. We love to talk to you. We love to hear what you've got to say. But first, Dominic, we're talking to you hours now after India managed to save a test at the Oval. Of course, that means Sri Lanka is still the last team from Asia to win a series in England. That was 17 years ago. The kind of question I kind of want to open up with is we've seen a 5-test series with between England and India be absolutely fantastic. Do Sri Lanka have it in them? Do we have the talent? And this is, I know there's a lot more to discuss. This is just an opening preamble. Do we have the talent to be as competitive as India and England are at Test cricket?
You've asked the big question. I think the talent is there. The opportunities are what is missing. I think a 5-test series would be a stretch simply because we have never played a 5-test series. We've never played a 4-test series, and the 3-test series are few and far between these days. So in my mind, there is absolutely the talent. If you look at our fast bowling depth, we can put together a squad. You look at our batters, we've got cover for injury. We absolutely can do it. We saw what happened when we went to England and played a 3-test tour last year. It was 2-1. I would have been interested to see, had we had 2 more matches, how that would have played out as our players are getting more used to conditions and roles and the like. So I think absolutely we have the ability to compete. And Nasser Hussain was saying this on the post game today, that it is up to England, India, and Australia, the countries that do have the money, to make sure that this game of Test cricket, which we saw, couldn't imagine a better advert for it, right? We couldn't imagine a better advert for it than this match today, right? To preserve it, to let all countries be a part of it, to have that excitement like no other format, and I love white ball cricket, but no other format can produce it. We saw what KJP did in 2019. That's one of the, that is one of the all-time most favorite hours of watching cricket that I've ever had in my life. And so I think we absolutely have the talent to do it. And now the ball is kind of in the court of the other sides, okay, that have to support this kind of development of Test cricket, and not a bifurcation of here's tier 1, here's tier 2, all that kind of stuff. And we've got to figure out how to solve that problem.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about whether cricket should be broken down to tiers. Personally, I think that's going to be a total disaster for everyone. And I think at some stage, probably the next few weeks, we'll have to end up having a longer conversation about it, because it feels like now it's almost like an unstoppable force that's heading towards Test cricket. That was a kind of preamble into it. If you haven't come across Murali End before, what you should know is this stream will be available as an audio show, as a podcast. So you can watch, you can listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, about an hour or so after the stream is finished. We're going to talk about a few of the headlines from Sri Lanka cricket. Then we'll give you guys a chance to come on screen and have a chat with us. Also need to let you know about Kid Rated. Kid Rated are our new partners for the next few months. It is a website which talks about days out for kids. It's currently just London focused, but they've got big plans to expand. Go and have a look. You can read about what it's like going to Legoland. You can read about what it's like going to Madame Tussauds. You can read about what it's like going to Shrek's Adventure, and all the other kind of kiddie activities that they are to do in London. It's all rated by children as well. So if you're a parent, it's a really great resource to have a look at. Right, Dom, let's get into Sri Lanka cricket this week. Yeah. So the kind of top takeaway for me is that there is this domestic T20 tournament. There's 3 teams who've got to get into the squads, right? Squads with that. There has still doesn't appear to be any fixtures for the women's team. We're not sure what's going on with the Women's Asia Cup, even though that is only about 7 or 8 weeks away. The World Cup starts, which we're hosting, and the kind of bigger headline, the most important thing I think of the week is that apparently out of nowhere they've decided that they need a new batting coach, they need a new spin coach, and they need a new fielding coach. There is quotes online that I'm not quite sure where they've come from. I haven't had the time to have a look at it. Sorry, guys, this isn't my full-time job, sadly. Suggesting that they want to go with foreign picks because they kind of think they've gone as far as they can with local picks. This time last week when we ended our live stream, we said, well, a week's a long time in Sri Lankan cricket. Those things are happening. There's a lot of movement going on behind the scenes. We'll talk about the players who've been left out of the T20, domestic T20 teams as well. But I want to get into this coach's situation first. I mean, like, I'm not surprised they're looking for a new spin coach. PL's been there a long time. I'm also, as far as I'm aware, it feels unclear if the current incumbents are leaving. We've seen Julian Woods been over to do some training with our batters to get them to hit bigger, find the boundary quicker. So it's unclear to me whether they're getting rid of the current incumbents. And if they are, I'll be perfectly honest with you. And obviously, I'm a non-resident Sri Lankan. I think the whole conversation about whether they need to be foreign or local is quite strange. It's quite difficult because we know that there's loads of great Sri Lankan coaches, not just coaching in Sri Lanka, but around the world. Mm-hmm. And it appears to me yet again that this is a knee-jerk reaction to a series loss against Bangladesh, a series that we easily could have won. There is actually quite an about turn on what direction we were heading towards. I want to know what you're taking it as and what your thoughts are on this situation.
Yeah, it's a week in Sri Lankan cricket. We don't know what's going on. I think there's a couple of ambiguities here where we have, there's a call for applications for coaches. That does not mean they're going to change coaches, and they are national team coaches. So that begs the question of where are these coaches going to be placed? Are they going straight to the men's senior national side, or are they high performance center coaches? These are all kind of questions that are unanswered by that ad. We heard about the hiring of John Howard, right, to be the spin coach last year. But the guy we've been seeing in the dugout is PL all the time. And I don't even know if Howard is still with the team. So we don't know what the call is for. We don't know whether it's simply re-upping. And this was, I think, related to, there was some political discussion about backroom dealings with local coaches and things like that. So again, I don't know if it's an actual transparency measure, a pretense at transparency, what role in the setup they're going to have. It's very, very hard to kind of ascertain what exactly is going on. It's also interesting because they kind of made it very clear that the head coach is still around. And I wonder how much of a difference is there going to be in the cricket culture of this team, the way that they play cricket, if you change the batting coach, the spin coach, and the fielding coach. And I wonder how much of that is already set in stone by the way Sanath coaches the team, his own preferences and likes and dislikes. It is really a tricky question because it came out of nowhere. We don't know what the time span is. There's a World Cup coming up in 6 months. So where this all leaves us is very, very unclear. I don't know if that makes sense to you, Mark, but I'm very confused too.
No, I'm totally confused. I agree with kind of everything you said. I mean, on one hand, they're trying to tell us they've got a plan. They know what they're going to do. They know how they want to approach this World Cup. Now it feels to me kind of 6 months out. Is it 6 months out? We've got a little bit longer.
Yeah.
They've lost one series to Bangladesh, and they're trying to rip a lot of things up and kind of start again. I joked at the end of last week. I was like, look, in a week's time, we could have new coaches, you could have new captains, you could have a whole new squad. I just think that when we emerged out of COVID and we went to that Asia Cup in 2022 and won it, there was stability in the side. Mickey Arthur brought stability to the setup. Players weren't getting dropped on a whim. Players knew they had the back of the coaching staff. It feels to me like we're creeping back to the dark days of a lot of insecurity. It just speaks to the insecurity of everyone there, that they do not believe in the project. They do not believe in the way that they think they can win cricket matches, which just filters all the way through. It filters into the opposition, right? They're going to know this. Like, teams and players are going to know that we're insecure about these things. I think they did get a lot wrong with the selection for some of those games against Bangladesh. I don't think.
Mark, we've lost your audio. Went down.
Oh, is it back?
Yeah, you're good. You're good now. You're good now. Yep.
I think when you look at that Bangladesh series, I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they were using it to try and fill out the squad and figure out who they were going to play. Actually, I think what's happened since proves that that's probably not true. That actually they felt they were playing their best 11. I think how do you feel about the whole conversation about foreign coaches and local coaches? I hate this idea that they're pitching locals versus foreigners.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
It's just straight up divide and rule, right?
Yeah, it's a ridiculous kind of conceit. And then the idea that you have Sanath as the head coach, and then so maybe there is some positive here in saying, okay, we have a local head coach, and then we're bringing in foreign talent as needed. But I think what we want is not foreign or local. We want someone who has a vision for the team, who has a knowledge of how games are won in 2025, and can actually bring that to a side and show them how to win. Because this team, as we've said, has been emerging, is always emerging, as we said a few weeks ago. And we need someone to take that emergence and turn it into full on actually emerged.
Yeah. We need to. It's time to stop emerging and actually appear. Should we talk about the 3 T20 squads?
Yeah,
that have been put out. The headline for me is that there's 2 players I definitely thought would be in it that aren't. That's Aviskha, who, need I remind you, was started 2 of the last 3 T20 games that we played. Yeah. And Angelo Mathews, who I thought would almost definitely be in the side, because until quite recently he was considered a senior player within Sri Lanka cricket, and he had kind of stated that he wanted to play in the T20 World Cup, which I'm not saying that means he's guaranteed a spot, but kind of implied to me that he would have had those conversations with people at SLC, and they would have suggested that if he got himself into the right place, into the right fitness, was playing enough cricket at a good enough level, he would get into it. Seems that the first given opportunity, they have just said, actually, no.
Well, I wonder if it's kind of to your point, they know what they have in Angelo. And part of the point of this domestic tournament is to actually see what else they have. Angelo is always a fail-safe. They know they can go back to him if they need to. And the Aviskha scenario that you laid out, to go from one of the best 11.
Yeah.
Right. To go from one of the best 11 to no longer in the side. Right. That shows how quickly you can go from one of the top 7 batters to not in the top 35 batters. So for me, I don't see that as I think Angelo is that they're thinking about Angelo. Aviskha, I'm very disappointed to see them drop him, right? You can't say that he is one of your best 11 and then not include him in a domestic series. Sure, he might need time and he might not be in your selection plans, but it's a big blow to him to say, okay, don't participate at all. That being said, I think these sides are really exciting. I don't know if you can pull them up, Mark, but I will.
I can't. Sorry, I wasn't. I should have thought about that.
I can read them to you. So yeah. Team Blue, okay, they are captained by Dunes Wellalage, which I think is in and of itself an interesting pick because he hasn't gotten much T20 game time yet. They think of him as a potential captain. Patham Nissanka and Vishen Halambage A lot of people have been talking about Vishen Halambage after the major clubs T20 tournament, where he kind of lit the stage on fire. The fact that he may get the chance to open with Pathum Nissanka is super, super exciting to me to see what he can do. They've got Kusal Pereira, Dhananjaya De Silva, Ahan Vikramasinghe, who's on the back of some really strong performances in A tours, Dawson Shanaka, Jeffrey Vandersay, Akila Dhananjaya, Matisha Patirana. He's someone I really want to see play in this tournament, because I think he's someone that should be in the 11 but hasn't really gotten a chance as of recently. So I'm hoping he shows the quality he has. And then they have Asita Fernando, who had been out in the UK, Dilshan Madhushanka, Lilan Rangana, Mohammad Shiraz, Ravindu Fernando, Ashan Bandara, Nishan Madushka, and Sunitha Halambage. So also excited to see Dilshan Madhushanka hopefully get a chance to bowl here and show what he can do, especially at the top of that inning. So what do you think about that team? That looks like a pretty strong team to me.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating team, really strong. I wonder how these teams got drawn. I want to know what the thinking was behind giving Weller the captaincy, right? I'm not against it, but I wonder I just love to know what Pathum Nissanka is thinking right now, because if you look at the way Pathum Nissanka plays cricket and you look at what his personality is, you know that man wants to captain the national side one day. And I assume you would have seen this as something that was a stepping stone towards it. So he must be, I imagine he must be a bit miffed that he was left out. I don't know. I haven't talked about Pathum Nissanka about this. I only ever met Pathum Nissanka for about 30 seconds once, and all I said was, please, I'll take a photo, please. You're one of my favourites, please. So I don't know if he's got aspirations to be captain or not, but I was surprised to see, as you say, Weller hasn't played much T20 cricket at all.
But that kind of, right, I think, I forget who it was that commented on the sadness of seeing our bench. One of the viewers talked about looking at the bench and seeing Patirana and Eshan Malinga there. So it's good to see them there. I also think the squads, one thing, we'll talk about the other ones, they look like they're set up to actually test and see what these guys can do in specific roles, right? So Halambage, they're looking at, they're letting him open. They're not trying to shoehorn people into weird spots. So I think it's very much, we want to see what you can do in these particular positions.
Could I just say, I actually think with that example that you gave, it's slightly flawed, right?
Yes.
So what happens?
Because obviously he's not coming in as an opener.
He's not coming as an opener, right? Or if he does, then another headache.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They need to fix a problem, right? Because we know the one bit that works is our opener.
But maybe he could bat at 3. Maybe if he can open, they say he can come in at 3. I don't think that's too different. So Team Green, also another interesting captaincy choice. Kamindu Mendes is the captain. I would not have predicted the 2 other captains aside from Charith Asalanka to be Kamindu Mendes and to be Dunith Wellalage. So Kamindu Mendes is captaining. Kusal Mendes, Lasses Kruspule. Again, really good to see Kruspule. He's put in some good efforts on the A Tour, and we've kind of been talking about him for a while. Sadira, Bonica, Pawan Ratnayaka, who I'm going to just kind of not pause here. We'll come back to Pawan Ratnayaka in a minute. Sonal Danusha, again, who's looked really good. Chamaka Karunaratna, Dushan Hemantha, Traveen Matthew, Nuwan Tushara, Dushmantha Chamira, Pramod Madhushan, Janat Lianage, Dulaj Samudita, Thurindu Ratnayaka, Nimesh Vimukti, Kamil Mashara, and Lahiru Madhushanka. So again, a really strong team, got good, strong, all-round options, the likes of Sonal Danusha, Chamaka Karunaratna, Lahiru Madhushanka, Dushan Hemantha. But the 2 guys I want to focus on here, who I think are kind of, and I think the guys we're focusing on or interested in are the guys who are on the edge of the 11 or the edge of the 15. And let's throw in 3 names here. Pawan Ratnayaka is 1. Sonal Danusha is 2. And then Bonica Rajapaksa is going to be my 3rd. So Pawan Ratnayaka, as you all know, he scored 158 off of 94 balls in the Major League 50-over final. It was a brilliant knock, and obviously he's now knocking on the door for national team selection. He's been great in the A Tours. He's performed in domestics. He looks a great talent. There are some questions. People have raised questions about his technique.
Yeah.
But he's someone that absolutely deserves a look in, and we should see how he does. Mark, your thoughts on Pawan?
Oh, sorry, the line went a bit funny there.
Yeah.
Look, I think this is a great tournament for someone like him. He's got to put his hand up and show us what he could do. Sunil Danusha as well. I think he's someone people are talking about. He had a sensational tour for Australia recently.
Yeah.
Let's see what they can do. I think
we saw him bowling in the test too, and he looked really good. He looks very much a carbon. Not, it's unfair to say this, but he and Wellalage are these very interesting guys where they're slow left armers. They bowl with good pace. I would say probably at this point, Wellalage is a little bit better at bowling, but Sunil Danusha is also an awesome batter. He scored 100 in Australia. Looks good. Both are gun fielders. They're guys you want around the side.
Do you want to get through the third team, and then should we have chats?
Do some chat because I want to bring up Bhatika Rajapaksa too, though, just to put a pin in Bhanika's name, because I think he's someone who a good tournament would make a great deal of difference to if he shows in form.
You see, for me though, this is part of the problem, right? Because someone like Bhanika, the way they play cricket, the way he plays cricket, there's this is how that specific role in cricket works. Is that those players come in and out of form between now and the World Cup is so far away. You cannot be expecting a player to be holding the kind of form that we're expecting, or quite often the job that Bhanika needs to do when he comes in, to be held for that long, for 8-9 months. Right? Yeah, it is wild. What they got
to ride the tide.
Yeah, and Bhatika, Aviskha is the prime example of this, is of players who so much about cricket is confidence, right? Bhanika is someone that I just feel has never really had a run in the side where everyone around him is not believing in him, and I just think it's so shrunken, it's so SLC, it's so reactionary to just drop him. To go we're giving him 3 games, he hasn't done anything, just drop him. Like he's totally and then suddenly. On the side chats, they're briefing journalists going that this person's never played for Sri Lanka ever again. It's like, that's not true, right? Look at Akila Dhananjaya. The man has chance after chance after chance. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, right?
How many
the Roshan Dickwell is in this tournament, right? We know what he can do. I don't know what they're like. Are they bringing what they doing? Are they saying, right, we've got you in this because we think there's a real outside opportunity for you here? You need to be striking at 250 and scoring minimums of 30 runs every game for you to get yourself in. Like what is the metrics that they're looking at here? We just don't know. It's fine if they know and they don't want to tell us, but I'm now at a point where I don't have the faith that they know what they're looking for. Because
what is Dickwella going to do? He can't, and anywhere outside of opening the batting is going to be a problem for him. So this brings us to Team Grey, captained by Charatha Solanka. Dinesh Chandimal and Niroshan Dickwella are the first 2 names on the team sheet were given. Lahira Udara, Nuanindu Fernando, who again is going to be someone who we're keeping an eye on. Big tour of Australia. Whether he can play that number 4 role that we're looking to fill is one of the major questions. Ramesh Vendis, Chamindu Wickramasinghe, again, another person for that 6th slot. He's a guy who is massively talented, an all-rounder, emerging player of the LPL, yet he somehow disappeared from the plan. So here's to hoping that Chamindu can really put his hand up and can maybe earn that 6th spot. Vyas Kant is our next name on the list, which again, someone else who's shown his quality and then kind of fallen off to the side. So we'll be excited to see how Vyas Kant does, especially given that Hasaranga is sitting this tournament out due to injury. Having that second leg spinner on deck is going to be really important. Vyas Kant is also interesting because he's opened the batting in domestics. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what he's going to do here, because this is a big opportunity for him. He's one of those players that I know if he gets a shot at it, he'll be doing everything he can to possibly take it, I think. Yeah.
Mahesh Deekshana, who again, he's not going to his place in the side is not up for question, but I think there's a question of form. Eshan Malinga, Benura Fernando, Garuka Sanketh, Then someone people have been talking about, Moen Subasinghe, one of the few real power hitters on the island. Milan Ratnayaka, Milan Hasanka, Sahan Arachige, Shevon Daniel, and Sineth Jayawardena. Just a shout out to those last two guys. Shevon Daniel has put in some good performances, and Sineth Jayawardena, Estelle has been doing some comms for the domestic games and has been gushing about how good Sineth has looked. He's only 20 years old. He apparently looks like a good player for the side going on. So those are the teams. Lots of intriguing questions and players there. So should we take some calls, Mark?
Yeah, let's take some calls. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Hold on, let me get into our call. No, that's geez. You see all the
back end,
the back end stuff, right? This is no, that's not right.
Definitely.
I think right. I'm gonna add Sarthik. Come on first, because I know he's got to go. Then we'll come to you, Pavan, to stay on the line. There's a link in the description. Right, there you go. Sarthik, thanks for joining us. I know you're calling from. Are you in Mumbai again? I imagine.
Yes.
Hello. What would you like to say?
Yes. So I have points starting with the coaches thing. So the coaches thing, I think it's a very subcontinent problem. Just because when I started watching
Yeah, you a little bit.
Hello.
Yo, you're a little bit light on the volume, Sathvik. So if you could talk a little bit louder, that would be great.
Hello. Yes. No.
Yeah, I can hear you. You said the subcontinental coaching problem.
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes. So the thing is, when I see the Pakistan team as well, so there the foreign coaches stays for 2 years or 3 years, whereas if it is a local coach, he stays for 6 months or a year, or maybe 2 years is a grace period. Similarly for Sri Lanka as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we throw away the foreign coaches as it is. Like, he's not performing. Whereas local coaches, we are like, let him be there, or we give him the grace period. So that is one thing. And also LPL, I thought you would discuss about the LPL part.
I guess.
So LPL, I'm very disappointed by the way, because LPL should have, now even BPL, I saw the Nepal Premier League last year, little bit, the auction level and even the cricket level. BPL now they're doing a lot of things, like they're getting one of the four, I think IMG, IPG, etc. And we are stuck with IPG. And I think you know that I have a thread written entirely about IPG and how they have treated Sri Lanka. And also the LPL part. It's 11 tweet series, so I've written there entirely about why they have done it and all those things. So I'm a bit disappointed that LPL should have been a success considering the talent we get every year. Like you said, Champion Singh.
Yeah.
Last year. Riaz Khan. Maybe Hasaranga as well, because before that, Hasaranga was a big spinner we knew in Sri Lanka. He had the potential, but he grew from that. Similar with Deepshan as well, and many others.
Yeah, I think Satvik, you brought up this point that's really interesting about regression last week, and so I was looking into some of this. The Deekshana is interesting because really people have been saying, oh, he's been on the down. It's really been 2025. If you look at his stats from 22 to 24, he was performing at a high level. So with Deekshana, I'm willing to kind of give him a little bit of a longer rope and hope that he can find form. But I do think it's concerning. Hasaranga, I think I think it's tough because they know he's the wicket taker in the Sri Lankan side and teams are planning for him. And he just needs to continue to adjust and adapt his game. Regarding the local coaches, yeah, it is a subcontinental problem. There is definitely the connection of politics and cricket and communication, right? How well are these foreign coaches actually able to communicate? And I think it's different. So say in India with the IPL, there's a lot more exposure to foreign coaches more regularly. Whereas if it's only with the national side, that can lead to some issues. I'm curious what you think, Mark.
You see, I kind of feel like actually maybe because I used to think we were quite disrespectful to local coaches, but then I remember during the England series last year there was a situation where actually the bowling coach was massively undermined because Lasith Malinga was doing video call, or Zoom calls with the coaches in with the players, sorry, in the hotel and stuff like that. I just we just want better leadership, don't we? Right? We want a plan, and we want a head coach and director of cricket, or somebody who can go, right, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, this is how we're going to get there. It seems to me like they're trying to fix problems as they arise, as opposed to seeing them in the future. We know Sri Lankan batters can't find the boundary as frequently as batters from other parts of the world. Why is that? There's technical issues in that. Why is that technical issue? The easiest way to fix that in the long term, I can absolutely promise you, is to just let the schools play T20 cricket. T20 cricket is not played in Sri Lankan schools at the moment. It is just about every other country where T20 cricket is played in the world. Right, so if they fix that, we know we'll have within a generation, within about 10 years, we'll have players who can find the boundary a lot easier than everyone else. We're still on the back foot because everyone else is exceeds. But that's the way to do it. Not go right. We're 6 months out from World Cup. There's this hitting coach, and as good as Julian Woods may be, he's not going to fix all of Sri Lanka's problems in like 4 days in Colombo, is he?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous,
right? He should be a consultant, right? Like this is you know, like when Mahela was taken on as a consultant by England, right? That was for like a couple months. And I think if you really want to focus on power hitting, just say we're hiring Julian Wood as a power hitting coach for 6 months. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
What is the downside of saying like this is clearly something we need to develop and we want someone to work with our guys? And there are tons of other countries. I know England has a power hitting coach. I'm sure other sides. I'm sure India has a power hitting coach. I think that is something that we need to train up.
Safik, thank you for your coming on. We'll let you go.
Just a question.
Yeah, go on.
Yes. So you said Dunit is this captain of that side, the domestic side. First thing, I don't know why they're keeping it the tri-series kind of a tournament. It's in a 7 to 10 day thing. I don't understand the concept that way. But Dunit, any information you know that whether he's working on the power hitting part, because I love Dunit as a bowler, but as a batsman, I saw even in the leagues as well that he's 50-50 in the Barbados Royals. He did okay with his bowling was better. He got, I think, I CPL as a top 5 tournament. So S20 was made.
Yeah, so this is a good question, Safik. And Mark has heard me say this. I think that if Dunith plays, he should play in the top 4 because that's currently where he can bat right now. Putting him at 8 and try to tell him to finish innings is a tough ask. I think he's working on his power game. We've definitely seen some improvements. And he seems to be one of those players who's constantly working on everything. He came into international cricket and he was bowling about 85 kph. He's added about 10 to 15 kilometers per hour to his bowling. So I'm sure he's working on it. I think it might take a little bit longer to see the development of the boundary hitting because he's a slighter, smaller guy. But yeah.
Just a second. I agree with that. I'm on top 4 point because I have been on weeks regarding that.
Yeah. Yeah, to give you a bowling option as well. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A Washington Sundar kind of player. Yeah. Thanks, Safik.
Thanks, Artwick. I'll let you go now. Thanks a lot, Pavan. Welcome on board. Pavan is joining us from Melbourne. Before we start, Pavan, let's talk about, because you run a YouTube channel as well. What's your channel? And tell us about what you do.
Yeah.
I was asleep, but you had Brad on the last few hours, right?
Yeah. So my channel is the Sports Breakdown. So usually I cover like cricket content, but then I do like sports content. So I used to do like football. I covered a bit of F1 as well with few of my Sri Lankan mates. I was with the Grandstand podcast last year, but unfortunately I was very busy during the past year, so I didn't really have any time. So I had to just focus on my uni, because right now I'm doing a bachelor's degree. So I had to just focus on my bachelor's. I had a lot of things going on in university, so I really didn't have the time until now to like make a, that's why I'm trying to make a comeback in YouTube, because I think I was very exhausted uploading videos, because I've been doing continuously for 3 years. So I thought it was best to take a break, and right now I felt like it was the time to probably come back and start slowly. And because there was nothing much going on between the 2024 2020 World Cup and the upcoming tournament, and especially the Asia Cup coming up and the ICC 2020 World Cup coming up next year, then I thought I want to focus a bit more on cricket, and especially on Sri Lanka cricket, because it's at home as well. And I hope I'll be there in February in Sri Lanka next year to watch the 2020 World Cup. So yeah.
So what do you want to come on and talk to us about?
I just want to ask regarding on the number 4. I was having this conversation with Brad today as well. But I've heard like sources like Sadira could be coming back at number 4 in that spot, like in the 2020 squad. But we know, yes, I know Sadira is performing well in LPL and domestic or whatever, but I just feel like Sadira isn't the right fit right now. We have I'm just asking, because I feel like right now Kamindu is the best fit according to me, but they don't know which sort of options they have. So they have Kamindu, they have Banuka, they have Sadira. I'm not really sure if they will go for a Pawan Ratnaik or a Vishen Halambage for the upcoming Zimbabwe series. I have no clue, but I'm just asking, do we just give us consistent run for one of these batters as number 4? Because I know obviously Aviskha was given, then he failed, and obviously he's not going to get another chance since he's now been dropped for the upcoming SLC 2020 league. So I'm just asking, should we give just one batter the consistent run and just make sure for the upcoming, because we have the Zimbabwe series, Ireland series, and then we have England series next Jan also. So do we just give that run to a player right now, or do we just fumble around with different combinations and just see who's the ideal number 4 batter?
So Tom, I'll come to you in a moment, but for me, I think the almost more important now is they pick someone and just go with them. If they fail and come out of form, if they go to Zimbabwe, they don't score much, and in the Asia Cup it doesn't work for them, then you can look to change it again before the World Cup. There's enough time, I think, in play. Sadira is a strange one for me, because I have no issues whatsoever with him. I don't think he's ever let himself down or let Sri Lanka down. It does feel to me like maybe the selectors lose his phone number in between tournaments, though, because he does spend large amounts of time outside the squad, and sometimes I feel like I can't really explain why he's not there. I feel some players get in the squad when they have done less. And because I still think too much. There's this idea that players going to come into the squad, they're going to be fully formed. So that's why when we talk about the Pavan Ratnaiks, when we talk about the Vishen Halambage, I just worry that we expect them to come in and bring the form that they've shown in domestic cricket straight away. Exactly. And actually, it's people say Zimbabwe and they're good. It's but when Blessing's steaming in at you at 98 miles an hour, that ball's coming quick on a pitch that you've never played on before, and it's going to do all sorts of things you're not expecting to do. And that Sri Lanka shirt weighs heavily on young players, right? Exactly. We can't be expecting people to come in. My personal preference would be to go with Kamindu at 4 and see how that works out. At this point, I'm not saying that is the long-term solution, but I think that is definitely a solution that should be considered.
I think I agree with you, Mark, that we should at this point make a decision and stick with it. But I think there's an even bigger sort of point behind this, is that we have to decide how we want our number 4 to play. We have to figure out how we want 1. We have 1 and 2. We know how we want 1 and 2 to play, but how should 3, 4, 5 play? What are their roles in the side? How can we clarify that? How can we make it as clear to the person who's coming in? It's going to be tough for any player coming in to do well, but we just need to tell them this is what your job is. We want it. It might be, we want you to, we're going with the top 3 of Kusal Mendes, Pathum Nissanka, and KJP, and they're the ones who are going to hunt down the boundaries. Your job is to play that Steve Smith role and just tick over the strike. Or you might say, look, we really need one of those top three to be there by the end of the innings. We want someone who is aggressive and can take it to the side and maybe balances some of the weaknesses in that top three, whether it's left-handedness or right-handedness or whatever is needed. And I think if you're going to give someone a run, it should ideally be a younger player, because we know what Chandimal can do at number 4. We know what we have some ideas of what some other players, but I would think that it's the Nuanindo Fernandos, it's the likes of a Kamindu Mendes that we want to see what they can do. And we need to tell them very clearly, this is your role, this is who you attack, this is who you play defensive to, and make it as easy as possible for them and not just make it a rotating thing. And I think that was one of the problems with Aviskha Fernando. He had no idea what he was supposed to be doing out there. Even in that sort of elementary chase in the first T20 against Bangladesh, you would have think that they said, okay, your job right now is just to go out there and smash boundaries or go out there and rotate strike. And he had no idea. I want to bring in Savina's question, because this is an issue, I think. And the thoughts on 3 left-handers and 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to let Pawan, I want to hear what your answer is to the number 4 question. What you think about the 3 left-hander problem?
I really think that's like to do with the strategy, especially because 3, 4, 5 usually they play like in the middle overs, especially because we usually expect like the openers to obviously control in the power play. But when it comes to middle overs, it's usually like a spinner who comes along, especially maybe like a leg spinner or maybe like a spinner. So to combat that, you have a left hand option, like in terms of like a Bhanuka Rajapaksa or a Kusal Pereira, in terms of like trying to sort of like slog if needed or try to rotate strike, and especially the spinner, especially right, like usually like a right arm spinner or whatever against a left hand batter. So that's like the combat against, like try to combat against the spinner, and that's why I feel like that's why we try to have 3, 4, 5, and especially in the upcoming Asia Cup, obviously in the middle overs it's going to be like leg spinners who are going to bowl, especially in Pakistan when it comes to like Shadab Khan or Imad. India, I think they have good spinners or Sundar, and I'm not sure about Chahal whether he's going to play, but still India also have their spinning options as well. And so even Jadeja, Rashid Khan, Noor Ahmed and Rashid Khan especially. So to combat that, especially with Rashid Khan, especially because he's very successful against right arm batters, and especially in the middle overs when you bring a left hand batter especially. And Rashid Khan has this weakness against left-hand batters where he cannot get them out as soon as possible because of the way that he drifts the ball and all that. So I just think like that is the strategy why even Sri Lanka won the Asia Cup 2022 was because of the strategy of 3, 4, 5. Even if one of the left-hand batters failed, the other two somehow, one of them stepped up and somehow performed in one of the matches. So I feel still that combination sort of works, but it depends also on the other squads. We need to analyze India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, their squads, and Bangladesh as well, their squads, and analyze that, and then come into a combination, I feel.
On the 3 left-handers, sorry, Mark, I'll make this brief. But
no, you go, and I'll tell you my thought. I think we're about to say the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think obviously having 2 right-handers opening helps this 3, 4, 5 problem. And again, this gets to how important Wanindu is in the side as a spin hitter to balance the side. You can have him come up if it's needed, but I think especially against spin, one of the problems we've seen is the struggle to rotate strike and find the boundary. And having a left-handed and a right-handed batter is just so much more helpful in that you have one advantage and you can really take advantage. It's simple cricket, right? It's a very simple thing, and Prad talked about this. So we need to use that to our best advantage, and Wanindu is a big plus in that.
I think they just need to embrace the data a little bit more, right? And find out the matchups, find out who's winning when, how we're winning, and come into games with being a little bit more flexible than the kind of batting order if need be, and if we can, right? When I still think the problem is when things go wrong, too often we just let the next thing go wrong, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and it just cascades down. It's not there's no one dropping the break in, is there? Pavan, should we let Pavan? I'll go on, Dom.
I have another question. Yeah. Mark and Dominic, like I have a question regarding on the fielding standards of Sri Lanka, because like recently, yes, I did see like there has been an improvement under like the fielding coach with Upul Chandan, and then Sanathos has been stressing a lot with the fielding. But when you have like Mahesh Theekshana dropping like simple catches, like especially in the last series against Bangladesh, I know like Mahesh Theekshana is a very good bowler. He does well in the opening overs, especially in the power play or whatever. But is that fielding standard like unacceptable? Like, because I know Mahesh Theekshana is a very key player, and this is applying to even several players, not only him as well. Like, there's a few also who are struggling with their fielding, and especially the fielding standards in that Bangladesh series was like unacceptable, and that only costed us to losing that series at the end. So, your thoughts on the fielding standards right now, especially key players also retaining because of how they have been performing in other aspects and not from the fielding. So, your thoughts? Yeah.
You know when you watch Rocky, and like every film it manages to find another opponent who's bigger and tougher and uglier than the previous one, and he needs to go away, and you get these wonderful training montages of him in the ice or running through Philadelphia or running on the beach in California or whatever, right? That's basically what Mahesh Theekshana needs to do with fielding. We know Mahesh Theekshana is a very professional cricketer. We know he's someone who has developed his game. He's an unbelievable bowler. He's taking wickets at every single level. I do not doubt for 1 minute that Mahesh Theekshana works in his fielding. There's nobody who in this world, you can see from the way he plays cricket, that there's nobody in this world who'll be more disappointed when he drops a catch than him. Right, but he needs to figure out another way to improve his fielding, because whatever he's doing, it's not working. Whether he needs to go and work with a psychologist just around catching and fielding, or whether he needs to go, right, I just field in this one position, you just keep me in the slips, I'm going to work on slip catching. If he works on that and becomes just a gun fielder in one role, in one specific piece, and doesn't end up being moved about, and doesn't, because in T20 cricket, batters are smart now, right? They know who the fielders most likely to drop catches are. They are hitting to those people. They are kind of figuring out in their head. They're getting the data going, look, we think that there's a good chance that fielder probably will drop the catch. So if you get a ball to that's going out there that may or may not hit the boundary, it's not as much of a risk as that other position, right? So Theekshana we need to box clever with him, right? And go, right, you are not good at fielding the covers. We're going to push you here. I haven't looked at the data. I can't tell you where he's good and where he's bad, right? We also have the flip side of this is we have fielders who are excellent. Think of Kamindu's catch, right? So we need to box a bit cleverer, I think, as well, about, if we know a fielder is struggling, put them into, like, let's make them specialists in a particular position. Right. That's what I would do. I don't know if you've got thoughts on that, Dom.
No, I think that's absolutely the right thing. Is we should figure out where the lowest impact position is, right? And put him there. Now, the issue I think too, Pawan, is if you have Benura Fernando. I love Benura. We love Benura, but he is not. He's not a great fielder. That's okay. He's a great bowler. He's very good. He's good at what he does. But having multiple low impact or problematic fielders creates stress on your squad. And so finding ways to minimize that, so that if you have Mahesh Theekshana, I think if Mahesh Theekshana is the worst fielder on your team, that's okay. That's fine. But if you have 3 or 4 other weak spots, I think that's another thing that you need to think about carefully. There's also the substitute game that can be played. So maybe if you have someone like, say, Aviskha in the side, you might run Wellalage out to fields.
So actually, Dom, I'm a little bit against this, right? Because I think naturally on the cricket, when you're playing cricket in your 11, there's always be 1 or 2 players carrying injuries anyway. The idea that you need to sub fielders in for fitness, I think actually we need to push away from, right? I think it's almost become a trope of Sri Lankan cricket, right? This guy can bat, he can bat his 8-9 overs. Increasingly now with T20 cricket, it's even less, isn't it? It's like, this guy's good for the last 4 overs of the game, and then you're like, right, in a 40-over match, this guy is only useful for 4 overs at the end of your innings, right? So 36 overs, this guy you're not expecting anything from. That's, to me, I think we're going to move away from, because we know, particularly
enough.
bowlers, they carry loads of injuries. They need breaks as well. Pavan, we're going to have to let you go, man.
Yeah, no worries.
We've got
Thank
lots
you
of
so
other
much.
people
Yeah,
to get
no
to.
worries.
Thanks for coming on.
Sure, no worries.
Thanks. I will add, I want to add Roshan, but it's your connection's not quite right, Roshan. I think you might need to reconnect. So Zaid, you're up next, mate. Zaid, thanks for joining us. Whereabouts are you calling from?
Calling from London. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, whereabouts in London are you?
Nice.
Just give us the direction. I don't need a road name.
Southeast near Lewisham.
Oh, wicked. Lovely part of the world. Right, what was it you'd like to talk about?
To be honest, the team.
Yeah.
I feel like the starting 11. There's a few holes in the team. Certainly, I would say number 4 is always up for grabs. Are we? Sorry. What format are we talking about here, guys? Sorry, I just finished work and saw you guys streaming.
At the
T20.
moment, T20. Yeah.
T20. Yeah. Well, KJP is a bit of a. He'll score like a 50-60, and the next few innings he'll go out for a single-digit score.
Yeah.
I mean, they call it, who is it? You guys calling him Pattis right now? Like Pattis for Kusal Mendes and Kuzal, right?
Yeah.
Those two are doing quite well. I've been a Kusal Mendes believer for a long time, even though my dad disagrees.
Oh, really? What's your dad's beef with him?
Say again, sorry?
Why doesn't your dad like him?
Mainly because he grew up watching, the greats like Aravinda, Ranatung, Sangakkara, Jayawardena, all of those guys. But watching the team now has just always been like a rebuild in a way.
Yeah.
So, I've just been a huge Kusal Mendes fan. Obviously, he's had his ups and downs, but finally, he's kind of reaping his rewards. But in terms of the actual team, what I'd like to say is I think we need, we've had a lot of biasness, if that's a word, with squad selection and picking the 11. I feel like we need to kind of pick on the basis of performances and kind of put it into context of who's the right player for the right game, strategies. I think they're going the right direction, but them doing, playing matches in these paddy fields in Sri Lanka ain't going to help, especially playing. You watched the India-England game. It was a really competitive game. I mean, we did beat them in the Oval, to be fair, but that's mainly it, to be honest. I think the bowling is fine. We lack a power hitter. We obviously have Captain Dawson, but again, he's another inconsistent one. We kind of do really need to rely on these guys, especially Hasaranga. I would say he can be an MVP. The problem with him is he's kind of like, he's always injury prone in a sense. He's kind of putting a few pounds. If we can get 2022 Hasaranga in the field with Tikshana and Dunit playing all together, I think we've got a firing line, especially with Dilshan Madhushankar as well playing. I think he had a fire World Cup in 2023, but for some reason he's just gone downhill ever since that injury after signing for Mumbai Indians. Pretty sure he didn't even get to play that IPL.
No, he didn't play. No. This is
great. Guys, that's mainly it.
Zaid, have you ever been to Barcelona?
Say again, sorry?
Have you ever been to Barcelona?
No. Why is that?
When you go to Barcelona, there's this big church there that you got to go and see, right? And when you go and see it, you discover that the church isn't finished yet. It's really beautiful. I've not been inside it because they charge money, and out of principle, I don't think you should pay money to go to churches. But when you go outside it, there's loads of cranes and there's loads of beautiful, it looks amazing. And you're like, when's it going to be finished? And they're like, we're not quite sure. And you're like, when did it start building? They're like, about 150 years ago. And I just worry that is the rebuild that Sri Lanka cricket is in now. Yeah. It feels like we've started rebuilding 150 years ago and no one's quite sure when it's going to finish.
I mean, guys, listen, I'm a Man United fan as well. So it's kind of worst of both worlds in the last 10 years for both teams, So.
Oh, mate, in South London, there's so many good football teams to support as well, man. Like you don't need to put yourself through this. If you support Sri Lanka cricket and Man United, that is a lot of sleepless nights. Like,
a lot, especially the last couple of years. A lot.
Yeah. Oh man, how did you feel when I don't know if you saw this, Dominic, but when the India were playing the Test match at Old Trafford, they did a collab. The Indian cricket team.
Yeah, I saw that.
Went to visit the Man United training. How did you feel about that? Like, Did you feel kind of slightly betrayed? Like Sri Lanka obviously never got invited to come last year, or were you happy to see Shubman Gill and Amarim together?
I mean, yeah, it was quite nice. Don't get me wrong, but would have loved to see a Harry Maguire and a Kusal Mendes pic for the Instagram. So that would have been nice. But yeah, it's really nice. A kind of, both teams are kind of similar in a sense. We're kind of still relishing on past glories, still in the rebuild, but it's just about, again, the outside, strategies, the way the football club and the cricket team is running. Specific players need to be played. I feel like a lot of players, but if we're talking about both football and cricket, a lot of players do tend to be picked due to whatever reason. But looking at it now, I think, especially the Sri Lankan team, there is a settled squad now. It's just adding the final kind of cherry on top, whether that's the final power hitter, the middle order batsman that kind of needs to play spin in a way. I know we've tried Aviskha Fernando to play there, but I would honestly give a shot to Pavan Ratnayaka. I think he played really well in the domestic setup recently. But yeah, I think if only we had Angelo Mathews, prime Angelo Mathews in that team.
Prime Optimus Angelo, that's what we need.
Optimus Angelo, yeah. Captain
Angie.
Angie.
It's interesting. I think some people have said Pawan isn't really ready for game time at international cricket. But that being said, right, who do we have at 4? That is really like, another an option. And one thing I've seen from Pawan is that he's quite good at playing spin. And you basically say, as a young player, you go out there, you play your natural game. The rest of us will play around you, but you go out there and do your thing. If we get anything from him, that's a positive.
Exactly. I think number 4. Yeah, you were saying, sorry. Yeah, I think number 4 is like it's not really like a main position like the top 3 and number 5, number 6. I think number 4, you can, take a bit of time. I'm not saying you have to take a lot of time, especially in T20s. You have to kind of, at least play minimum run a ball. But, just for him to, get used to the international setup. And especially, there's a Zimbabwe series coming up as well. It's the perfect chance for him to kind of get used to the hold of, internationals. And I think it's the perfect opportunity for him, especially because we've got a lot of left-handers in our middle order. If we're playing Kamindu as well. I'm a big fan of Kamindu, don't get me wrong, but I don't really see where he can really fit in, especially if we're going to play KJP number 3 and Kusal and Patum up top and Asalanka playing number 5. We're just missing that one position, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's the question, right? For me is Kamindu or KJP at 3, because I think they're both number 3 batters, and the question is who you want to go with.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to let you go. Before we go, I know because you told us earlier whereabouts in London you live. Does that mean you're a regular Everest Curry, or is it Everest Curry?
Everest Curry, yes. Recent. Yeah, it's quite close to where I live. Yes.
That's the premier Sri Lankan food store.
Premier Sri Lankan food, of course. I'm actually going to Sri Lanka less than a month, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm gonna, but there's no games to watch, unfortunately.
No games yet. Look,
they may move the Asia Cup.
A month's a long time in Asian cricket and in Sri Lanka cricket.
I hope it's in Sri Lanka. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
How long are you going to be there for?
Just a couple of weeks, to be honest. Just to see some family would be nice. But last game I went to go watch was actually at the Oval, and when Nissanka scored the 100. Got to meet Ajanta Mendes, which was quite cool.
Amazing.
Oh, wicked!
Yeah.
What day were you there? Were you there on the 5th day or 4th?
Fifth day when they chased it. Unfortunately, I had to miss like a lot of it because of traffic that day. I had to catch an Uber with my mum, but it's quite good. Yeah. But good speaking to you guys. Appreciate it. Hopefully we can speak again soon. No worries.
Tell everyone you know about us. Wicked.
Thank you. For sure. See ya.
Dineth, you were backstage, but we missed you. Come back on. We'll get you.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Dineth, thanks for coming back. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, good, man. Good.
Yeah, it's funny you were talking about the Basilica in Barcelona. I visited it last year, or early this year, and it's set to be finished in 2026, which is when the World Cup is.
Oh, it's all coming together. That
there you go. There's the metaphor.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm interested in talking about a couple things. This T20 league looks particularly fun to talk about, mainly because I've always thought that one of the reasons our T20 setup isn't perhaps as up to speed as the rest of the world is just the lack of the domestic infrastructure. So if you look at our ODI team that's done so well, I think, Charita Salanka, a lot of the Sri Lankan team players have attributed that to like the NSL.
Yeah.
And I think the NSL does or is planning to do a T20 league, like besides the LPL, right? So I'm really excited. But there's only 3 teams, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, it's 3 teams. We went through the squads here, and I think the thing that's interesting is like they really do seem to have thought about placing all the players in the spots, so you can see, okay, this is the openers, these are the middle orders, and if you're going to do kind of like effectively a trial tournament, it needs to be that way. It needs to be, okay, we're not going to take this guy and just chuck him in at some random position, but these are the guys who performed well at 4. These are the guys who performed well at 6. And let's go and actually use them in those spots, right? Because I think that's the tricky thing is like, oh, Dinesh Chandimal had a good series. Okay, let's just throw him wherever in the lineup he goes. So I think that'll be good, is where if we can see who has the skill set to fill that 4 and 6 role, that's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see these bowlers and how they stack up too, because I think it'll raise some questions about how we're organizing our bowling and where our resources are best used as well.
So I think it's an interesting idea to have this series, but I think there is a slight flaw in that we do need, as you were kind of alluding to, Jonathan, is it would be better to have the existing sides put their kind of T20 11s and have a slightly longer kind of lens to it, because right now it's like trying to reverse into to fixing our situations, where what you want is you want to bring in youngsters and go, right, we think you bat at 4, or we think you're a death bowler. Go and figure this out. And we're not going, right, we're 6 months away from a World Cup. You've got 2 games to go and figure this out, and we've decided to allocate you to this side. I think like we are forcing our players into becoming kind of mercenary about it, opposed to try and get their natural kind of develop their natural games a bit more. It would be kind of my take on it. This is why I think like if we start playing T20 cricket at schools level, because I still think in and around cricket cultures all over the world, T20 cricket is talked about by cricket purists as the kind of bastard child of all the formats, right? But once you get to when you get to World Cups and you get to franchise cricket, and like if you're going to be honest about it, if you get to a point where you're a professional cricketer in not just Sri Lanka, anywhere in the world at this stage, you're young, you want to be playing T20 cricket, right? It's great if you get 10,000 test runs, but if you got 10,000 runs in the IPL, you never need to work again. Your great grandkids never need to work again, right? So that's really the format financially that everyone needs to try and master. But I still think early on in a Sri Lankan player's development, and then the domestic setup is working against them at the moment, even though like Sri Lanka's future is basically producing T20 cricketers. Right, we're not getting test matches against people. We've never had a 5-test series against England or Australia. Right, that is never happening. If it does happen, it's because some of the ECB got drunk and wrote 5 instead of 3 when they sent the invitation letter out. Right, it's not a long-term viable thing. But what is viable is that we can consistently produce T20 cricketers. We should consistently have a very good competitive T20 side. I'm not saying the side that's going to win every World Cup or dominate for a generation or anything like that, but some of the situations we're getting ourselves in are totally off our own making, because the structure is just not quite there for to produce the kind of players that we need. And I think actually, if you're running SLC, like, what are you doing, mate? Like, it's not like T20 cricket just popped out the whole yesterday and they're like, right, this is the new thing. It's been there for about 15 years at least.
Yeah.
And for actually the beginning of it, for the first decade of it, we were at the forefront of it. We have gone backwards, and we need to be working now, not just to get back level peg with everyone else, but also to move it on a little bit further, so that we are the hub of innovation around cricket that we know we can be, and we have been in the past.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Well, first and foremost, what are the logistics of the tournament with 3 teams? Is it just going to be like a
tri-series? They're playing like, I think.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Is it each other twice and then a final? Is that what we've got?
Yeah, that's right. Let me see. There's they put the schedule out. It's 8 or 9 day tournament. They're playing more or less every day. The schedule is okay. So each team plays 4 games, and then there's a final. So it's between the 7th and the 16th, and it's supposed to be streamed live. So that'll be to watch. So so that's the plan, is to have the blues, greens, and grays play each other, and then have a final. And then I think,
do you think there's kids in Sri Lanka who grow up dreaming of playing for SLC Greys in a T?
I mean, of course, they surely do. Surely do.
Like, yeah. I think that this is for me, it's a bandage, isn't it? It's a plaster across a wound, isn't it? It's trying to fix something in a short period of time, trying to make the most out of something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I see it totally.
Well, they were supposed to have the LPL. I mean, like you're right, because they were supposed to have the LPL this time. But
yeah, well, we can all get behind Bitcoin Candy again,
We love Candy.
Yeah, there's been a few questions and comments coming about the LPL. I don't think it's the worst thing that's been played in November, December. Not because I know I'll be in Sri Lanka that time of year. Hopefully be able to get to the final, but because I think actually that's like 3 months out from the World Cup. We know that our selectors might do something crazy, like if somebody got a century in the final, they might end up just getting in the back and play the tournament, even though they're maybe not quite cut out for international level. So, and also we talked about the fact that players come in and out of form very quickly at this level of cricket, right? So doing it 3 or 4 months out is not a bad idea. My issue, I think, is I like our selection is too knee jerk, right? So we could be in a situation where they, as I say, someone like Hasaranga doesn't, just has a bad LPL. Doesn't take the wickets we expect, and they just decide to drop him or something like that. Like in SLC, that's a totally legit thing that could happen, right? No one is guaranteed anything with this. I don't know, Dennis, what do you think about moving the LPL?
Well, okay, on the LPL, I'm not sure about the actual timeline. I suppose, I mean, it seems that timeline wasn't a concern for them, right? Because we saw Charita Salanka citing LPL, from a year ago as valid reason for T20 selection. But probably the closer the better to the World Cup. A couple months out. I heard, and this could be complete nonsense, has the IPL bought some teams or something like that, or is that just pure is that speculation I've heard?
I haven't heard that, so I know.
Yes.
Essentially, the ultimate goal when they create the LPL was for the IPL owners to buy the teams.
Yeah,
right. That was the kind of dream scenario. If you look at what's happened with the 100 in England, where ECB has made, I think, like 200 million or something insane from selling shares in half the teams, basically, or half off every team to various different Indian billionaires. That was a dream for Sri Lanka cricket. It's not quite worked out like that so far. What I've heard is because of the way some of the teams have been run and the way the league is being run, which actually, if you're Sri Lankan, you've got to expect, we all know that things in Sri Lanka take a little bit longer than they do everywhere else in the world to happen. I'm cool with that. I've come to terms with that. And I kind of also think that if it's just an administrative issue, they can sort that out, bring the necessary transparencies in, and then bring it in. I like to think that might happen, and I think it's in the interest of Sri Lankan cricket for it to happen sooner rather than later, because I'm of the opinion, again, I know this isn't a widely held opinion, but I think actually the owners of CSK will do a better job in trying to nurture young players then and more a larger net of young players, because it's in their commercial interest than it is for the people who currently run it, because I think it's too big a job for a single administrative body to do, and actually kind of privatizing it, that doesn't reflect my own personal politics, but privatizing it might be a much better efficient way of doing it. And if you look at it from like kind of US sports perspective, the NFL would be better at creating players than if you just left it to whatever organisation, essentially effectively like a arm of the government, right? To do it. We didn't get around, Dom, to talking about how SLC had to put something out about their finances last week being.
Oh yeah, they were strong.
Being strong and stable. They put an actual press release out.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it, but there were rumours circulating that SLC was struggling financially.
Yeah. I heard this.
Which makes me very.
They claim to have be in a better financial situation than New Zealand cricket. I've never come across a situation where different sports bodies are competing against other sports bodies financially, but
was this something they mentioned in the press release?
No, like that wasn't mentioned. Okay. That wasn't mentioned in the press release.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, Sri Lanka's the real secret for Sri Lanka's kind of continued financial stability in cricket is that it's in the same time zone as India, right? So they can always sell rights to the Indian market because there'll always be a broadcaster who will want to buy it. So that's how they make their money, and they also do get money from players that end up in the IPL as well, right? So, but yeah, the LPL should have sorted out Sri Lanka's finances, and it hasn't quite yet. Hopefully, it will do in the future at some point. But it's a shame it's taken this long. But I still think it could do. Yeah. I kind of wanted to talk about who might be in the squad for the Zimbabwe series, but I suspect that we'll need to wait for this.
We'll have a different opinion next week.
Yeah, after this T20 try series. So yeah, Dylan, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, of course.
Have you had a good week? Do you need any academic advice from not from me, from Dominic or anyone else? Because we know you're studying in.
He's doing great. I'm sure he's at Amherst. The Amherst College is one of the best schools in the United States. So he probably is doing fine.
I would be doing fine if every time there was like a cricket match on, I didn't excuse myself from work for that day. Excuse myself from my duties for that day to just stress over a game. Any advice? No, I mean, it's chill. I have to ask, how do you guys keep up with? Is it through like X or Twitter or whatever you call it? Because it seems that no matter how much I'm up to date on cricket, you guys seem to be, informing me of things.
X, various cricket websites. We're just always sending each other stuff.
Yeah, I see.
I know quite a number of other cricket journalists who don't necessarily follow cricket. They do follow cricket, that don't follow Sri Lankan cricket, who often kind of send me stuff as well. Going, have you seen this? Have you seen this? So that's what we do. With Sri Lankan cricket in particular, I find it quite difficult to weed out what's actually real and what is a conversation that's happened on Goalface that has spun out of control and is now being read by millions of people all around the world, right? Because there's a lot of hearsay that gets reported as fact, I think. Also, I just think in general in Sri Lanka, in and around Sri Lanka with news, there's just much more for a tradition of it being spread kind of like...
News is
I was going to say orally, which now in real terms translates to WhatsApp, basically, right?
But do you feel like, Mark, news is kind of like it's like beta testing. It's like we'll just trickle it out slowly and see how people react to the fact that Aviskha is being brought back into the squad. And if everyone freaks out, we're just we'll actually officially release the news 2 weeks from now, and he won't be in the squad. So it's like, yeah.
I definitely think that happens. I think the large Sri Lankan cricket Facebook pages actually do have influence over selection, and that they trickle things out. And they I definitely think they beta test selection calls on that and how it's going to go down and react, which is absolutely horrific when you think about it. Like, imagine being the poor player stuck in the middle of it, like. But in Sri Lanka, no one cares about mental health, do they? They'll just say anything. It's like people's feelings do not come into it. It's just people do whatever they want. It's wild. Dennis, we're going to let you go. I think mainly because we're probably going to wrap this up. There's loads of other comments and come in. No more calls. I think Don will be back next week though. There should be.
Oh yeah.
There'll be a few more bits to discuss.
We'll be partway through this tournament.
Yeah. I flipped us around. Sorry, we've ended up in the wrong place, but that's all right. Thank you for joining us. If you got this far with us, you can listen back on the podcast. Don't forget to go visit kidrated.com. It helps us out for no other reason. And of course, subscribe to us on YouTube and on Instagram, particularly Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. We'll see you all probably next week because there'll obviously be a lot more to discuss. See you all then. Bye.